If anybody gives me a hard time for uploading and or singing this, then I don't want to sing with you. And if you think I'm ignorant, maybe because we have different beliefs, well, that's on you. Maybe you haven't looked into it, maybe you have, but hey, we don't have to agree on everything. Let's do this. Something's going wrong in the neighborhood. Why do we see further than we should? All around us, people unaware, lied to and deceived without a care. There simply is no curve inside. You know we don't spend all day and night. It seems they want our minds flooded with lies. If you wanna bust the globe, I know these guys. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call when the horizon flattens out? Go ahead, call them up, see what that's about. We can go around in circles trying to find this out, but if we looking for the truth, about to find it out. NASA can't go to space, so we hit the roof. Get it, hit the roof, and it all came to light with 200 proofs. Now I'm just really sick of people lying to me, so when I tell the truth, don't come crying to me. Pick up the phone, get on the line with me. Line with me. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters! I can't help myself. Glowbusters! Yeah. That's right. Oh, man.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters Flatlanders. I'm your host, Bob Xanadude60, and we are back with another Sunday show for you today. And happy to be back. We finally got some of my act together here as far as the Sunday and Wednesday show. I am pleased to announce that the Rockfin exclusive shows will be taking place on Wednesday night. And we are opening a new series called Globebusters Tech. And it's taken me a while to get the staff and how we're going to do that. And it's going to be a little bit different format. So, it's taken me a while to get it together. So I do apologize for that, but it'll be well worth it. I promise you that. So today we have the film producers and participants in the movie Flatlanders with us. Not all of them, but 3 of them. And we have Shelley Lewis, David Hunt, and Ryan Walker. And so basically they spent the last, 2 or 3 years, something like putting this together. And it started out with doing a whole bunch of tests. And I know that they did tons of interviews when we were in Dallas. I know I was interviewed at that point in time. And they actually gave me a chance to tell my side of the story of the 15 degrees per hour and how we put that thing to bed, which was very nice. That'll be nice when I actually get to see that. So they're going to be here talking to us about that and all kinds of other stuff besides that. So I'm excited to get to it. But before we do that, let's go ahead and introduce the panel. First up, we have Jaren from Jarenism. How you doing today, Jaren?
Doing great, Bob. Yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Happy to be here. Happy to have Shelley and the guys on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And next up, we have Iru Landucci. Hey, Iru, how you doing, buddy?
How you doing, Bob? I'm doing well. Hello, everybody. Nice to see more people get involved with this type of. It's not easy to make. This is not creative content like YouTube things. That kind of stuff. This is very deeply and complex things to do. So I'm really happy to have more people involved creating real documentaries and spread the word. So. Yeah,
I totally agree. And, we've had we've had a few people that are doing that now, and it's nice. I mean, behind the curve, we actually had high hopes for that, but that turned out to be a hit piece. And then, of course, last week we interviewed
Flatten the
Flatten the Curve from the
Exactly.
producers of that, which is kind of cool. And that was primarily pilots, and they're kind of hitting this from a tech side, and it's just good that we do this. And I think that the more exposure we can get out there, especially with the more professional look that we can do it, that it really helps our case a lot. Because let's face it, guys, we do have all the facts, we have all the proof in the world. All we have to do is get a slot in somewhere, and we're already doing quite well, but I think we can do a whole lot better. And it really helps to have people like Shelley and Ryan and David that are making documentaries like this to help out the entire community and the movement. So let's go ahead and introduce Shelley Lewis, since she's the prettiest, and then we'll get on to the other two guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on, Bob. I'm just thrilled, and I know you've been such a great supporter, and we are just so thankful. And I can't wait to get your story out, because it is the other side of the story, and we know so much about censorship that we felt like we had to really get out there and just produce our own stuff, because they will just twist and turn everything and turn it inverted. So your interview was phenomenal. So was Jaren's, and we have so much good footage, and I just can't wait to get it out there. So thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm really glad to have you here, Shelley, for sure. It's been a long time coming. I know you guys have had a lot of unexpected delays and finance problems and all kinds of stuff, but finally it comes through. Yes.
Oh my gosh, the road has been long and arduous, I should say, and it just felt like every time we turned around, there was another obstacle that we would face. And so finally, it's just come together. And I love this first episode. I feel like it's long enough, but not too long. And we just had some really amazing discoveries with just everybody who was involved. So yes.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So next up we have Ryan Walker. Wait a minute. Let's go ahead and introduce Ryan. Ryan Walker. Now, Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, you are the owner of Flat Earth Pizza. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
All right.
We've been in business. We opened in 2017, so it's quite a few years under our belt now, and kind of introduced I want to say maybe one of the first flat Earth restaurants out there.
I would say that's probably right.
Yeah, just kind of left the corporate world and started another passion of mine, and I think we can say we have a pretty good product. I didn't want to represent Flat Earth with a lousy pizza, so we've been doing pretty good in our small town, and we're looking to open another one.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's exciting.
So you're somewhere near Reno? Is that right? Or...
Yeah, Carson City is where.
Carson City. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I would love to get back there. We go to Tahoe every once in a while. I'd love to get back there and stop by and visit your restaurant. That would be awesome, because it's truly one of a kind. I couldn't believe that somebody actually had a restaurant like that in existence. It just blew me away.
It's a great platform. It definitely. In fact, that's how Shelley and I reunited. I reached out to her, how many years ago now, and just saw that she was just beginning the journey of wanting to put this documentary together. And I shot a message to her and said, "Hey, to host your premiere at Flat Earth Pizza." And it turned out that she finally passed through and stopped in, and it turned out that we actually grew up together.
Oh, so, wow.
She tells the story better than I do, but
yeah, I don't doubt it. There's so many weird coincidences ever since I've gotten into Flat Earth. Started out with, when I first met Jaren, of course, my youngest son is named Jaren Michael, no less. Same first name, same middle name. And then it turned out that I had a cousin in Australia that I had no idea that I even had. And we're second cousins, and he's a big flat earther down there, and it just blew me away. Just the things that you come across in this are amazing.
No coincidences.
Yeah, no doubt. So that is awesome. Well, I wish you all the luck with your new restaurant. Hopefully that'll be cool. But tell me something. When people walk in there, I mean, do they even say much, or they look at you and say, "You're kidding, right?" Or what kind of responses do you get from people that go in there?
Oh, it's the best. I mean, you really, when you meet people one-on-one and in the flesh, it's a totally different atmosphere than just the crap you see online. It really is. And that's kind of what we found. The fun part is when they do, I'm not Mr. Evangelical out there pushing it on them, although we have flat earth artwork all over the walls and that kind of thing. But the fun part is when they do ask, what's up with the name or what? And then you kind of, like anyone, you kind of make a little judgment on where they're coming from. And if they're open, it turns into just fun, huge conversations. Yeah.
Oh, that's. Do you get people that really? Do they come in and they get really pissed off, or do they keep that from keep for behind their keyboard?
Yeah, I think in the 4+ years now, I might have had one person that really wanted to argue it with me, and otherwise it's just a great platform. It's a I don't want to brag or anything, but they do come in for the pizza. The pizza's we've been voted best pizza in town since we began. So so with that, people are really open. And I think the one thing I've noticed, because it was pretty early on that, we kind of put this out there. There are more flat earthers out there than you can imagine. I've had, everyone, come, like you said, it's near Tahoe. A lot of people on vacation come through, and said, "Oh, we heard about you guys. We had to stop here," and that kind of thing. So it's been amazing. It really has. Carson City is the capital city of Nevada, so I was always kind of a little bit nervous, going, "Are we putting ourselves on the map too much?" But it's been great. The law enforcement there loves us, and we're just kind of the community really accepted us and really loves us. So it's been a great platform that way. And again, we're not totally pushing it. We will, we're planning on, showing films and maybe, meetups and that kind of thing. But like anything, my main message to people who might not agree is, I've created a place here where we can talk about what we want to talk about. We don't have the pressure of, coming from the corporate world, being in an environment where you basically have to toe the line and not go outside of it. So yeah,
Right.
we're welcome to have any discussion, and it has been amazing. It really has.
Well, that is awesome. I saw you on film, and you look like a very likable kind of guy. So I think you're going to be a fabulous emissary for Flat Earth. So I'm glad to have you on the team.
Awesome. Appreciate that, bud. Yeah. And I was there at Dallas too. Yeah. So I remember you.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
meeting you guys. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were all doing the interviews and stuff. That was pretty crazy. All right. And we also have with us David Hunt. And David, you are a co-producer, and I'm not exactly sure what other roles you did in the film, but perhaps you can enlighten us on that. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Bob? Yeah,
Doing good.
Just basically been a flat earther since 2015, and met Shelley in 2019 at the conference in Yorba Linda, that Question Everything conference, and then came on board the documentary team, and then we came to Dallas and met you there, met you and your wife there, and then basically just been helping out, just a big support and encouragement to Shelley to keep going forward. And so really excited with this now that we got the documentary released here. So it's been a long journey, been a really fun journey, and been lots of yeah, lots of times where it's just, yeah, it was tough to keep going, but we just kept on going through, going through things and getting over the obstacles, and so here we are. So
Yeah, and you guys had some extra problems too, with one of your
yep.
other co-producers, and that was kind of a mess. And I hated to see that, but what do you do, right? People in the community can kind of go nuts a little bit sometimes, and it's unfortunate, but things like that do happen. But I'm really glad, the outcome of it is that you guys carried on and got the film out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we don't have to go into that part of the detail. that was drama to the max.
Oh yeah, but here we are, and it's like it's been exciting. Yeah, it's been exciting to see the reviews, and it's been well accepted, and we're looking forward to the next episodes, and so yeah, it's going to be good. We're really looking forward to this. So.
Right. So you guys have actually put out a couple of previews, and then this is actually episode 1. And Eero, I thought I sent you that a link to it because I put it on the Google Drive. It's a 34-minute segment. Did you not get that, Eero?
Where you send it via Skype or
I dropped it in Skype.
Okay. Yes. I can see it now. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you do have it. All right. So because I know that they produced a couple of teasers, right? And then this is the actual formal episode 1. You say this is going to be 10 to 11 episodes, and so how exactly are you going to structure this out, and how does the flow of this, or how did the flow of it wind up, or have you even completed the flow of it, or is it still a work in progress?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So the way we flow this out was we wanted it to tell its own story. We knew we had to tackle curvature, and the best way to tackle curvature was just to go out and actually see if we could see too far. So when we went out to the salt flats, we had already done these experiments, and we decided to just do it again, because you can't just do a one and done. You have to try to do it multiple times. And so we were able to get the observation a few times. And then it just started to tell its own story. So the first episode will tackle curvature. And then we introduced a couple, we introduced Ryan, who told us the equation for curvature and how, his story was when he used to work, mapping out real estate properties, things just started to not make sense. And then, so we introduced the curvature equation, which we'll probably get pushback on, to be quite honest. And the way we structured this was that if we did receive any pushback, we could address it in future episodes. And so that's why I love this, because it's so dynamic. We were going to, originally it was just to do a rebut of Behind the Curve, but we didn't really want to just stop there, because there's so much more that they didn't touch in Behind the Curve. And that we thought, well, we really need to do a deep dive on curvature and Coriolis and, satellites and NASA. And there's just so many topics that we really want to do more of a deep dive on. And so the next episode, the first episode, we introduced Dr. Yang. He's actually a Nigerian space agency employee who was there for 10 years.
They actually have a space agency in Nigeria?
Yes! Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And when we put a call out there, hey, does anybody want to come out here and kind of check out what we're doing on the salt flats? Come join us. Well, he shows up from Denver. And we find out while we're there that he worked at the Nigerian Space Agency. And so I'm like, we've got to interview you. Can we interview you? So we ended up getting this amazing hangar right down there in Wendover. And we interviewed him just like kind of as, it wasn't planned. It just happened to evolve that way. And then Robert Scott shows up, and we were so thrilled because that guy is amazing. He can just explain things, so incredibly well, that we were able to get an air traffic control tower and interviewed him there. And it was like, what are the chances that this would evolve and unfold in such a way that we were able to get both of these guys interviewed in beautiful locations? And so now the next episode since we've introduced Robert and Dr. G, we're going to kind of weave them into the storyline, because what they bring to the table is just unbelievable. I mean, you could ask David. We were just blown away when we found out that, Dr. G worked for the Nigerian Space Agency, and we were able to get this $10,000 hangar that cost us nothing. They let us just go in there and record. We got escorted onto the property, and people said, "Hey, can we record here?" They're like, "Well, we need to talk to our manager." I'm like, "That's amazing. We would love to just be able to do that." And so they did. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, the goosebumps we had when we were interviewing Robert Scott in that control tower was just incredible. Like,
oh my goodness,
that was
just,
like, yeah, that was so awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, so that's the long answer to the short question of so it's still a work in progress, but we have mapped out how we're going to tell a story. And the next episode, we're going to talk about Coriolis and how that will play into the curvature, as well as, just there's so many topics that everybody's talked to. And we had interviewed Dr. Michael Miguel Angel, who's a ballistics expert. And then Daryl Lee, who's also artillery expert. And when we went out to Ohio, we have so much information that it's almost scary, because just all the expert witnesses to what the shape of this earth is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And so it is humbling, and to be able to tell everybody's story and do this community justice, because we've been so portrayed negatively. It's really an honor to be able to do that. And we, like you said, Bob, we really want to do it justice. So that's my short answer. Long answer.
That is awesome. So what's part 2 going to look like when that one comes out? Is that going to be more experiments, or are you going to go into the expert analysis, or what comes after this?
So we'll just continue the story. The first episode with Sydney Silver was really, that was a tough one. Just to, she was a good friend of mine, and like really, really smart. And, just to lose her at such a young age, and just her not being able to finish everything I know that she really wanted to say. We'll continue to weave her story into the next episode and throughout the series. And we want to talk about Rob Skiba. That's another just a blow to the community. Just losing him was really tough. But the next episode will probably focus more on, like, we can keep doing experiments till we're blue in the face. We've done them, and science is repeatable. We can keep weaving that storyline in there, but at this point, it's now time to get to the nuts and bolts of, okay, why are we seeing it this way? What's really going on here? And what can you tell us as an expert? So yeah, we'll dive into that.
All right. Well, that's cool. That's cool. And this, this may be a good time, Jaron, for that text that you sent me regarding the group. What was it? A group that you're in, and somebody just sent you a text and said, you guys are basically doing, I actually copy and pasted it here.
Oh, cool.
And actually I can probably share that. Let me share it so everybody can see it, because this will kind of dovetail into this nicely, I think. Let me stop Daryl Marble here, and let's share the right screen here. Sorry, I'm not so professional on this, but all right, everybody should be able to see that. All right, so Jaron sent me this week, and he basically said that a lot of people are talking about it, and that he also agreed with it. So I'm like looking at it, it's like, okay. So let me read it to everybody really quick. And he says, Jaronism, I wanted to give you my 2 cents on the whole flat earth movement. I consider myself as an open-minded person, and flat earth is a really interesting theory. I have to admit that I am not 100% flat earther, but I am also not 100% glober. I have watched a ton of videos, debates, and podcasts over the last couple of years on this topic. What I have noticed is that the leading figures channels, Jaronism, Globebusters, Dearth, and Flat Earth, are doing it all wrong, in my opinion. You are doing various calculations of moon brightness, distances of moon, sun, doing observations of ships, mathematical, scientific answer, which usually has some, assumptions for it to work, or some circumstantial arguments. Glitches in the camera is used in the ISS.
You skipped one line, Bob. Go back.
Yeah, that's what I realized. I did that. Okay. Well, let me just stop right there, and let's hit this first part, because You know, when he says that we're doing it all wrong, Darren, I mean,
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I agree with that part.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. You know, I mean, and I would like to know exactly what is it that the Globers have satisfactory rebuttals for, or even mathematical rebuttals for. We have people that are doing the experiments, like what Shelley and her team are doing, and then the guys we interviewed last week, and of course, all the stuff that we've done ourselves in an FE core. It's like we're putting out there all this information that really has gone unanswered, with the sorry exception of refraction. That explains it all. And I don't buy that for a second. So what exactly does he mean by that? Do you know?
I don't, other than just he says we're doing moon calculations, we're doing moon fakery things, because I guess where I can see where he's right is that either you believe that we went to the moon or we didn't. The evidence is striking, but for those who want to believe everything that NASA says and believe in space, they're going to obviously defer to no, we definitely went. Here's all the paperwork. Here's all So I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of that one necessarily. And then same thing with the boat going over the horizon. Yeah, what we're trying to point out there is that you guys say that back in you name it, 275 BC or right when AD started, you're saying that that's how they determined that the Earth was a sphere, is that they saw boats going over it. Well, we're trying to point out that, yeah, with our eyes, we also see boats go over the curve, but you can zoom back in and pick them up. So that could not have been a reason for them discovering that the Earth's a sphere, because it's not actually the truth, right? So it's like everything that we bring up is always these little tidbits, but it's kind of makes people choose a side, but there's not like that definitive boom. So that's where I think I get what he's saying here, is that if we did ever have something kind of like what Brian Mullen talked about with the Force the Line, some sort of community funded big experiment. This guy thinks it needs to be permanent, not like the fishing line test or not like the lasers through the boards test at the canal. Something more permanent. I don't know what that is, but that's where I get what he's saying when he says we're doing it all wrong. I mean, first of all, the last 2 years, you couldn't leave our houses. So, what do you want us to do anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
But, before that, we were doing tests and experiments. And yeah, was any one of them definitive? Did we find? No, I don't think we found that yet. Because I do agree that I would love to have that repeatable test where I put a little box up in the corner of my videos that just says, you don't even ask me about flat Earth till you've debunked this experiment, or whatever. Because it'll be obvious, and we'll just be able to start moving on and get past it because it's proven. It's right there. It's easy. So that's what I think he's talking about.
Yeah, and I get that, but it is expensive to do these tests. I mean, Shelley, I don't know what you guys spent in budget as far as for your laser tests and all the logistics that go along with that, but it gets straight up expensive, right?
Yeah,
you
no
could tie up
question.
thousands of dollars into it,
Right, definitely. It is expensive. And I know like people who've done these hot air balloon or weather balloon tests and stuff, it's no joke. It gets very expensive.
Yeah, we lost our balloon.
Yeah, we lost our first balloon. Our second one was absolutely insane that not only did we get it off the ground, but we actually caught some fabulous eclipse footage.
Oh, the eclipse one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that, so we, fortunately, but it was $2,000, $2,500, right out the window when we first did that one, and then we put our own. Chris and I just basically then put our own money into it so that we could get that going. So yeah, I mean, I've dropped, God, I can't even tell you how many thousands of dollars I've dropped into experiments between this and Chris Van Maitre's, setting up the transit and all that stuff and doing all the level experiments and what FE Core has spent. I mean, it's cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm not seeing the Globers, do anything, let alone refute it, So while I would say that I agree completely that it would be wonderful if we could have a really, really nice budget where we could do things like, like I said last week, I think one of the really cool things to do would be to go out and hire a mathematician, right? So we all know, or we're told, right, that the Earth supposedly is in this elliptical orbit around the sun, right? And that's just one of many motions that constitutes a condition of acceleration, right? So we're always in a condition of acceleration. And so we have these things called, accelerometers that are unbelievably sensitive. I mean, wow, really, really super sensitive. And we should be able to literally be able to predict, just like in January when the sun is coming around for perihelion and periapsis, right? When it's speeding up and then whipping around, or the Earth is whipping around the sun, right? We should be able to not only calculate that out, but we should then also be able to measure it with an accelerometer. And that's something that I think is something that is very doable, because accelerometers are not that difficult. So what I was thinking of is, just to do it so that everybody's happy, is to go out and hire like somebody from Fiverr, right? They have people, mathematicians, PhDs, all these people that have this skill, and say, okay, what we want to do is we want to hire you to do the calculations, do the math, and tell us what we should be seeing as far as, these acceleration vectors and the forces in newtons that we should be seeing during periapsis, right? And then let's go get this equipment and see if it happens, right? Now we know it's not going to happen, but when stuff like that, I think, is irrefutable. And it's just one more thing, right, that we add on to, the preponderance of evidence. And that's, what I've always gone about, is the preponderance of evidence. But I think something like that would be fabulous, So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any other ideas you think might be, at least somewhat cost effective, that aren't so expensive? And because I'd love to get a lot of this fabricated. Of course, we've had a couple of, television producers contact us, and then, when they talk about trying to give us a serious shake, then they have definitely met with some opposition from their producers higher up. And I told them that they would, So I don't know. I am wide open, guys. I really am. But I think right now we're really doing the best that we can do, as far as, with what we have, right? We're not NASA. We don't get $62 million a day. And, that's just one experiment that I can think of that should be, we should be able to pull that off for probably less than $1,000, hiring the mathematician, renting the equipment, or buying it, whatever. We should probably be able to do that for way less than $1,000. And then, so we do that, then what, right? All we can do is just throw it onto the preponderance of evidence, because let's face it, we have beaten the Globers back so far in this argument that they are literally now saying that, no, we never claimed that there was a geographical horizon. It's like, what are you talking about? You cannot have a heliocentric model and not have a geographical horizon. That is impossible. We're talking about the curvature of the Earth is a physical obstruction. And for you to be sitting here telling us now that you never said you could ever see it, after battling for years and years and years, saying that everything was curvature of the Earth blocking, I mean, it's unbelievable. So that's literally where we got it to. So maybe what we should be doing is documenting that kind of behavior, right, from the Globers. What do you guys think about something like that?
That sounds awesome. Do those instruments detect? Because I've always thought about the massive change in velocity that should be happening every 12 hours.
Yes.
When the Earth is spinning. And I've seen a couple of people talk about that, but there should be an instrument that should be able to detect this massive change in velocity when the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles with the orbit of the Earth around the sun, and then it goes against it every 12 hours.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the ISS is supposedly, adding on a huge variance to that, right? As we're going, the backside and the front side, as it's going around the Earth, backside and front side, it's got this huge variance in speed there that, anybody that says that you would not be able to read in an accelerometer a difference in acceleration, because guys, we are in a constant state of acceleration. Anytime, even if you're just driving around in a circle, if you go in your car and you just, lock the steering wheel at maybe the 3 o'clock position and you put the gas on and, get in the back seat and enjoy the ride, it's going to go around in circles. But you're always going to feel it's going to be pulling you to the left, right? The centrifugal force that you're going to be feeling that. Well, we should be feeling that all the time here on the Earth from multiple sources, because that is called the state of acceleration. And the acceleration that we feel should be, of course, from the Earth spinning first and foremost. And of course, the Globers say, well, it's only 0.000625 RPM, so that's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it may be only 0.0065 RPM, but it's also 1,037.5 miles per hour. And, you're having a huge variance on that all the time. So you cannot tell me that we shouldn't be able to detect these type of motions with the accelerometers and with the equipment that we have. And that's the most amazing thing, that mainstream science has never gone there. Well, the reason they haven't gone there is because they can't. Because if they try to do this, if they try and come out and say, look, we're in motion, you can say it instead, and actually put an accelerometer to it so that we can have some sort of instrumentation that actually confirms this motion, that would be great. But there's no such thing. So, I don't know. I'm at a loss as to what else to do, and it really gets frustrating for me. That's why I think, what you guys are doing is great. But I'm always open for more ideas. What do you think, Jaron?
No, I think it's great. I'm not sure what it will take. For me, I like the Southern Ocean test in some way. I know that's not proof really for much, but I think it would show a lot if we could get somebody who has a yacht or some sort of a large ship to kind of go from New Zealand to South America. Because I think if it's 6,000 miles, then it will take a certain amount of time. And if it's 9,000 miles or 10,000 miles, it's going to take a lot longer. And if what we're saying about the Southern Ocean having some uncharted territory that GPS doesn't have on it, that would actually send the boat around that area, because you would never really enter that area that we talked about that's not on GPS. So all that together tells me that those trips would take about twice as long. So you're talking, 6,000 miles calls for 12 days and a flat model calls for 20 days. Well, we get in the boat and we go. If we get there in 12 days, it's going to be tough to explain how the boat suddenly doubled its max speed all the way across the Southern Ocean. And if we get there in 20 days, it's going to be hard to explain why we are 8 days late. So that's one that I can think of. But besides that, all the tests that we've done, I think, have been proofs in and of themselves.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And when I read that, it's just like, wow, that's, how are we doing it all wrong? And like I said, if there's anything else we can do, I certainly am all for it. But, every single one of us here has poured thousands of dollars into proving unequivocally that there's no curvature, that there's no motion. And, we get retarded responses like, oh, well, yeah, there's no geometric curvature, just stupid stuff like that. And other than that, it goes unanswered. And then they just make up straw man lies continuously. So guys, if you really think that the leading, quote unquote, leading, channels, DITRH, Globebusters, and Jaronism are doing it wrong, and you think there's something else that we can do that is actually realistic, I'm all for it. But until you've dropped several $1,000s of your own money into this, I don't think people really have a clue. And not only how expensive it is, but how much effort it takes, right? How many hours did you guys actually spend doing your testing, Shelley?
Oh, lots of hours, I would say, without sleep. Oh my goodness. We've done so many different observations. I need to calculate it, but weeks in forms of hours for sure. Yep.
Yeah, it's been it was a couple, like 5 days. 5 days in West Wendover, and then Bear Creek, like in Idaho, and then it's many hours.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. So one of the tests that you did that I really liked is right here. And let me make sure you guys can hear the sound. Do you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I want to play this little clip here. And this was what, 36 miles down the train tracks? Is that right?
That was actually like 35.9.
Yeah.
Okay. So a huge thing. And one of the things that really caught my eye was the reflection on the train tracks going all the way down to the target. I'm looking at that going, all right, so we've got the laser and we've got light reflecting off the train tracks going all the way to the target for 30 some odd miles away. How could anybody ever call this refraction? There's no way. Right? So you guys have created another black swan in yourself, right?
Yeah.
So let me play this really quick for everybody.
On the bottom of the battery, it's working.
Brother, make this battery last, please.
It's off to the left. Is that this one green? Yes.
There it is.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
So just out of curiosity, guys, I mean, what was giving you the lighting on the train tracks? Was that the local lighting or what? Because it looks like it goes all the way to the horizon.
Yeah, those towers, like the tower was doing I'm guessing that's what it looks like from here is the light reflecting from the tower was actually reflecting there.
Okay, well, maybe that wasn't such a long distance thing, but I mean, this observation in and of itself is mind-boggling. To be able to pull this off, and it's just amazing how the ballers can say, "Oh no, it just proves the ball because you got your standard refraction." Standard refraction is nonsense, right? There is no such thing as standard refraction because, first of all, because the globe is not built for it to be drawing light down. In fact, the only reason we even see it at all is because the Earth is flat. If it was truly a ball, when you're firing a laser level and away, then theoretically that laser is going into thinner and thinner and thinner medium. And what is required to actually divert that laser beam is to go into a thicker or a changed state of medium, either a different medium altogether or a significantly change of state in the medium. In other words, maybe warm or maybe cold, and you could have a Chinook wind or something, and it would, cross the path, and that could change the direction, something like that. But otherwise, it's going to just get into thinner and thinner in air, which makes it conducive to going absolutely nowhere except for straight, right? So here you guys are seeing this, and let me go ahead and play this a little bit more.
Oh, that was a big one. Yeah, there it is. You're really nailing it. You got it really nailed.
I got it on the camera. I got it on this camera.
Yeah. You got it. Yeah. So got it.
We got it. You guys hear us?
Yep, got it. I see it. There it is. Yeah.
Those hand warmers actually worked. That was an incredible idea. That was a good idea.
That's the actual altimeter as opposed to the GPS reading 4239. So that's very close.
Very close.
Okay, this is the location of the lasers. They were up on these tracks here. We had two tracks there, but it's just a side track up there. And right here is the direction that they were facing. And they were shooting the laser that direction. And now we're all over here.
So we got a major flat cuisine going on here. Whatever you're making up will be totally fine, Sydney. Yeah, it's totally good.
So that is so awesome. And you guys will cherish those memories forever. I mean, it is a lot of fun, just to do that, and the camaraderie and everything that you do that with, really builds for some special moments.
Yeah, definitely, Bob. And I just want to say, back on that first where you paused it, another thing too that would make that ball theory completely bunk is you can see the lights of Wendover right behind where the laser is, and you could see the lights from the town, which right there says, "Oh, are those lights refracting too?" And I know people could say, "Well, maybe they're in higher elevation or whatever," but There's just so many amazing memories from that trip, as well as the proofs that we captured. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, that's why I'm really excited to see the rest of this. And, if we can keep it going with documentation like this, and, maybe we could even have some sort of collaboration between FE Core, because, since we established FE Core, I mean, right after that COVID hit, right? And that basically put everybody that was not in the United States, they basically went into hiding. They really did. And our European counterparts, I mean, they're freaked out completely about it. And they're more concerned about their family right now than Flat Earth. And I understand that, I totally get that. It's a little bit hard to be focused on that with all the crazy crap that's going on in the world right now. But, hopefully, we're going to get a little bit of relaxation, back off time to be able to keep pursuing this, because I think we have to keep the pressure on, just like they do. So do we. Right. And, we cannot back off on this at all. And, I'm sure you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting how Flat Earth was gaining so much momentum. And then this COVID stuff hit, and everybody just kind of got shut down. It really took a lot of the, we were shut down from the Senate subcommittee that said, "Oh, YouTube, what are you guys doing to stop this? These flat earthers. What are you going to do to stop these flat earthers?" And you could tell that we were making so many waves that they had to come up with something. And I'm not saying that COVID was a result of that, but it sure did take away from, people starting to look into this deeper topics. So yeah, now that we have some, I guess they've granted us some of our God-given freedoms back, which is, another story in of itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now that they've done this, I say you're right. We just keep putting on the pressure. And this time, because we have so many other platforms to work with, YouTube we don't even need them anymore. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, Bob, for sure. And we would love to collaborate.
Yeah, I think it would be great.
Yeah,
And,
awesome.
Because we do have the benefit of having a 501c3 tax exemption, right? Which, we were surprised, because when we did our laser experiments, we literally got a lot of that laser equipment, and also for the salad, the super accurate laser aiming device salad that Mike Kavanaugh designed and built. We got all those parts for free from one of the biggest parts manufacturers, electronics parts manufacturers in the world, right? And, they didn't really say anything about wanting any publicity at it, because obviously people are going to go after them, right, for it. So they don't even mind giving it anonymously, because so many people do see what's going on here. They do see the deceptions. They do see the lies. And these corporations, when you can say, hey, we can make this a tax break for you guys, that's really attractive for them. And so I would suggest that, any type of equipment that we use, or you use in making the film or anything like that, that we try to see what we can get as far as, donations from, corporations.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really would. Because I was absolutely, utterly blown away with how much stuff, corporations donated to us. That was really, really cool. So, and then you got people like Jay Tolan here, right? And I just, honestly, I don't know how they haven't silenced him yet. You know what I mean? He is an incredibly smart guy. He's a RF engineer. He does a lot of what I used to do, but obviously at much higher levels. He's worked for the defense departments. He gets all this stuff. Now, I will say he has some strange ideas about some stuff, but for the most part, he acknowledges that, the world is definitely flat, and he's got all the infrared photography in the world to prove it, just like what we're looking at now. You call that refraction? Where's the distortion? That could not be any more perfect, crystal clear photography. There's nothing refracted about that, or any distortion or anything like that at all. So, he really has been putting nails in the coffin left and right. And he's been, very honest about it. There have been some things that he said, wow, this is kind of confusing. it almost looks like, there might be some curvature here. And that's what really honestly started me wondering about the Ferguson map, about maybe the flat earth, the idea of the Ferguson map might be a little bit more realistic, than the Gleason AE map, which everybody's been looking at. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Ferguson map or not. Are you familiar with that?
I've never heard of that. And to Jaron's credit, it was because of Jaron that I actually discovered Jay Tolan. I mean, Jaron came out with this amazing information about Jay Tolan, who's just unbelievably humble and amazing. But if it wasn't for Jaron, I would have never even known about Jay.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's our Jaron, man. Yeah, when he came out, we had him on Globebusters like right away. And, we didn't know what to think of him because we're sitting here going, is this guy for real? Is he some sort of a plant? We didn't know what to think. And so, I looked at a lot of his stuff and, finally contacted him. And then we had him on Globebusters. And then you actually had him on for at least a couple shows, didn't you, Jaron? Oh, Jaron. Oh, where did Jaron go? He's probably went to the bathroom. He snuck out on us. Well, anyway.
Yeah, but even in Spanish community, Chitolan is something that I use quite a lot in my own presentations, because for me, for example, when you talk about what we can do for spread the word and keep pushing the flat earth, movement, idea, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, I try to see in many ways. For example, if we want to push the flat earth in terms of the advertising, marketing, and trying to reach high-end media in terms of the importance, and you want to put the flat earth again on the headlines and TV shows, especially in places like United States, which you have thousands of TV channels. It doesn't matter if belong to 5 companies, but you have a wide range of TV brands and TV channel, things like that. For example, here in Argentina, we only have quite a few, like 5, 10, and if you break through those TV channels, you're gonna be all over the country. And in fact, we did that in 2019 with our own conference. We reached even New York Times at that time. But in the United States and Europe, it's a little more difficult. So maybe you need to be more aggressive. And I just dreaming, but for example, reach the amount of money to high up or buy a ticket on the Jeff Bezos Virgin Galactic or Blue Origin flight, for example, something like that. Because a few days ago, Kyrie Irving, supposedly, he was invited by Jeff Bezos to prove that the earth is not flat, things like that. So maybe that doesn't have any particular experimental side in terms of what you can do, because if you go in that ship or in that rocket, you only see with your own eyes and nothing like that, nothing more than that. But maybe that could push the flat earth again into the mass media, because they're gonna take it as something clowny and things like that. But in terms of experimental things, for me, or you do the next step, which could be something like the Go Fast rocket, and test some of the fluid that are up there beside the long distance range photography, or something more affordable could be take some private jet, some private plane, and put Shitolan with all his equipment and do let him do all his own stuff with very precise things, with more time, and maybe create something special with Shitolan in his own plane without all the limitations, restrictions from a commercial plane, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and a lot of things also, from the guys that we did last week, we also had all those pilots, and one of them owns a flight school, and we've actually had him on before. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but He's a CFII air transport pilot, the whole 9 yards. And, again, there are a lot of nifty experiments that could be done inside of an aircraft with gyroscopes, right? And that are not being manipulated by any type of computer navigation system, like they claim that is going on with the ones in the big airliners. So there's a whole bunch of experiments that we can do, but again, it all costs money, folks. And if we ask for it, then what we do is we get people saying, "Oh yeah, they're just taking your money." And I mean, it gets so sickening because we fight against our own people about half the time, and that makes this battle even doubly hard, right? And if Globebusters has been doing this for 7 years, so has Jeranism. Well, all of us have for the most part, and it just really, to get the opposition from the community itself is just beyond the pale. But what do you do? But we keep pushing it on, and we're going to keep doing that too. And I'm really happy that you guys are going to keep going with this. So what do you have anything planned that you want to do or that you're going to be doing, Shelley? Or you pretty much at the editing stage where you're just editing things and putting it together, or what's next?
Yeah, those are all really good questions. Well, we have so many topics that we're going to be covering. We're going to go down the rabbit hole, the giants and stuff like that too. Eventually, just other kind of crazy topics that people think are nuts, but there's evidence of, that we've been lied to about our history, the mud flood, all that kind of stuff is like very intriguing. Because you don't just come to Flat Earth through one thing. A lot of people come to Flat Earth because they've question the official narrative, and that's what it really comes down to is we're asking questions. We're not trying to we're not trying to hurt people. We just want to get to the we're questioning things that don't make sense to us, even certain topics like COVID. They shut down this entire world's economy over this virus or supposed virus that they can't even isolate. There's just all these weird things that are happening. I don't know where we live, but it's a weird world. But I wanted to go back. I didn't mean to cut you off about the Ferguson map. Could you talk about that? Because that's very intriguing to me.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull it up. I'll actually pull it up, and that way you can at least see which one, what we're talking about. It's called the Orlando Ferguson map. And that would be it right there, enlarged image. So that would be the Orlando Ferguson map. Okay. Oh, wait. Are you not seeing that, are you?
Yeah, we can't see it.
How about if I share that? That'd probably make it a lot better. I'm not quite used to this software yet. Usually we do Skype, and I've been, going back and forth with this and other stuff. So let's go share screen. Okay. Now you should be able to see it.
Okay. Yep. I've seen this before. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And the reason, the reason that I'm starting to look at this is because of some of the stuff that I've read in some of the more ancient texts, combined with some of the stuff that Jay Tolan has said, combined with the possibility that there may actually be some degree of curvature on the Earth that, we may not necessarily be able to explain. And I'm not saying that's a absolutely positive thing, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to fit this into it, because if you were to look at the curvature here, this would not be anywhere near the 8 inches per mile squared, right? This would be, if you were to take this and extend it out, the Earth would be many, many times the size that it is now, right? But that it definitely does have a, kind of a popped up part to it. And, the rest of this seems to make a lot of sense to me. And if there is this ice wall that's out at the, the outer rim, then, this actually makes a lot of sense to me, especially when you look at the electrical map of what we produce for the world. And you guys probably are not aware of this, but we have taken the gravity model, what people didn't accept as gravity because gravity is nonsense, and we have explained what what is it then that makes things go down? What is it that gives things a downward bias? What is that exactly? And when you look at the flat Earth model, especially the way the Bible describes it, we have the Earth, and then we have the firmament up above us, and what that's saying to me is that the firmament above us is actually acting as kind of an electrode or a capacitor plate, or what's called a Gaussian surface, right? In other words, the sky is fully charged. This is why we see things like sprites and elves discharge up, and they hit something at 62 miles and they flatten out, right? So we are inside of this huge electrical container, and there is a small current flow that's coming from the sky down. It's also measurable at 100 volts per meter, right? So it is that downward pressure that the voltage is giving us that is actually, giving us our up from down. So, and this is where we're going with Globebusters Tech, by the way, is to actually develop this out, into a full model. But this type of environment would work very well over the Orlando Ferguson map, because you can, if you still had that bias over the dome over the top of this, then you will still have straight vectors, right? Straight vectors to even to the curve points. And I'll have to animate this better, but it's just something that we're working on. So that's what I'm saying when I talk about the Orlando Ferguson map, because honestly, I get so tired of, the Gleason map is just, it's inaccurate, this, that, and the other thing. And, that may be, but, I think we all think that the Gleason map has got a lot of merits to it. And it does have some flaws to it. And I'm just trying to find something that fits. And I'm not trying to push it on anybody like that. This is kind of my own journey. And I'm taking people with me that care to go. And I'm very interested in what other people have to say about it. So that's the Orlando Ferguson map deal, Shelley.
Okay, interesting. I have seen that map before with the circle. I mean, there's a Bible verse says that there's a circle inscribed. He inscribed the circle in the Bible. So that's definitely interesting for sure.
Right, and the four corners of the earth
as
well.
Four corners, yeah.
Of course, we also looked at the four corners as being, in the center of the earth, we have the incoming four rivers, right? That are flowing into Mount Meru. You could look at those four corners and, those as the four corners of the earth as well. But this one, I think,
right.
Yeah. So it's a matter of interpretation. And I think what you have to do is we have to kind of, take some of the, ancient knowledge that has been put out by other cosmologies and, kind of piece it together to see what makes the most sense. And, it could be complete bullshit, but you know what? It's certainly not going to make us any worse off than we are now, because if you want to call having all the proofs, being bad off, and we backed the ballers into a corner of denying everything they ever said, and now they're denying how a sextant works, which is absolutely hilarious. I mean, they're just losing, point blank. So I just want to take it further because I want to know more about this. And I think a lot of people do too, because this is an amazing place. I mean, there's no doubt that this place is created. To think that this was some sort of a cosmic accident is absurd. When you look at the magical, looking at things like DNA and the nature and all the things that happen in nature and the cycles of life and everything, to think that this all happened just arbitrarily, willy-nilly, is absurd. And, honestly, you got to be pretty dumb to think that it is, just some random happenstance, in my opinion. So that's me, though. So, Jaron, are you back yet? Did you get off the phone with Missa?
Yeah, I'm back. No,
Okay.
I had one in the kitchen. She had dropped a glass and was in there with socks. I had to clean it up so she could walk in there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
because I forgot we asked you now.
We were talking about Jay Tolan, how he was the catalyst. Jaron was the catalyst for bringing everybody into his work. I mean, that's how I learned about Jay Tolan, was through Jaron for sure.
Oh yeah, Jay Tolan's awesome. His voice is awesome.
He is. Hello, everybody.
Definitely.
He is amazing. So yeah. So, all right, guys. So, do you have anything else that you want to tell us about the movie, or or anything like that?
No, just thanks so much for your support. We really appreciate it, and we're just going to keep plugging away, trying to get the truth out there. So, thank you so much for having us on your show. It means a lot.
Yes, thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. And you guys are, you're welcome back anytime if you have updates about the film that you want to, get out there and tell people about. Let me know, and I'll certainly set a segment aside for you, and you guys can come on and talk about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
That'd be awesome.
Guys.
Awesome.
All right, thanks again. We'll see you
thank you.
later.
Okay,
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
everybody. So that's Ryan, Shelley, and David Hunt. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys later. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So next up, let's go over to, let's see. I don't know if Ryan and David are disconnecting there. They're disconnecting. Okay. All right. So let's go over to a couple other things I want to cover. And that would be this Grout of One thing. So let me share my screen. Chrome tab. Okay. So, to kind of expand on one of the things that, and I hate to sit here and hammer on ballers, and it's not the ballers that are unaware that I'm hammering on. This type of criticism is for the people that are in the chats day in and day out defending this nonsense of NASA's, right? And I'm going back to this video because this video is amazing. This video was put out by Grotto1. I don't know, maybe a few months ago, something like that. And it is a moon lander fabrication analysis. And he basically looks at this from, kind of a layman / engineer point of view. As you guys may or may not know, Grotto1 is kind of a do-it-yourselfer mechanic, jack of all trades type of person. Very, very smart guy. And, obviously has experience in mechanical fabrication and just a really sensible type of, attitude, a mechanical type of attitude. And it was really interesting to see him break this down. And so, Ira and Jaron, have you ever seen this breakdown of this video?
No, I didn't see it.
Me either. No.
Oh, well, we're going to watch it because, I think this is really important. If this man can see this and so obvious, and we see it, and that the people of the world just believe that this stuff can go on. Yeah, I call them dumb. I call them really stupid for believing this because it is utterly ridiculous. When you look at this and when you look at, at what he has to say about this, not to mention, just look at this thing. It's a joke. It's a freaking joke. And I've actually had people defend it and say, well, it doesn't have to have that much pressure, or it doesn't have to have that much constructive sturdiness because there's not much atmosphere on the moon. It's like, no, there's a 10 to the negative 17 torr vacuum on the moon, and they allegedly pressurized the LEM at 14.7 psi, which has a 14.7 psi is something like almost 12 tons per square yard. Now, you want to tell me how a little sheet of aluminum foil can handle 12 tons of pressure on it per square yard, when the astronauts themselves are saying stuff like, oh, you don't dare sit down in there with a pen in your pocket, it'll poke right through it. I mean, it is utterly laughable. And anybody that can hear the astronauts say that themselves, and they did, and make fun of it themselves and still believe it, well, you're a retard. I'm sorry, but that's just what you are. You're a retard, or you're a J-trig agent, and you certainly do not have a critical mind. And, people like that just make me sick, and I have no time for them whatsoever. So if you guys are up for it, let's kind of jam through this. How's that sound?
Good.
Perfect.
All right, let's do it.
So have you ever been to an air show and you've had a look at some of the
You hear that okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
machines there? Like have a look at some military machines like fighter jets and such, and study the attention to detail. And I think you don't even have to go, and you already know, okay, well, the attention to detail is going to be outstanding. So anyways, kind of with all that in mind, I want to do a bit of a review on this Apollo 11 moon lander. I've got, I think, some other Apollo missions mixed in here yet too. I'll kind of let you know when that happens. But all the pictures that I'm going to show you are from NASA.gov, or when I was on NASA.gov, NASA.gov also provided a link to a Apollo image archive. So that's where also I got a number of these pictures. So let's dig into this a bit. So keep in mind that I'm going to be more critical of this thing because of who built it. Like, for example, if my kids had built something like this in the backyard and it was supposed to be used as a play fort or something like that, I mean, I would look at it completely different than, if NASA built it. Okay, so with that in mind, I just want to show you a couple of things here. And I got myself kind of going on this ladder thing, and that's one of the things we're going to look at. I'm going to start with that. And I want you to see, okay, so this picture, it's called Aldrin backing out of the LM hatch. And let's go to another picture here. So you can see as he's he kind of backs out onto this platform, and so he's kind of blind as he's going to have to kind of reach down with his legs somehow and find this ladder. So it's kind of like an odd thing. Like, imagine if you are getting off the roof of your house and your ladder is kind of tucked up under the eave of the roof just a little bit, and you have to kind of reach down. And I don't know, it's kind of like an oddball way of doing this. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. So look, so he's just come off that platform, and this is what I want to show you guys. Look at this ladder. Look at right here where his feet are going to go. They've got like half of a pipe or a tube or something. It's taped onto the ladder. I mean, the guy has just come off what I would imagine like blind to where he's going to be stepping, because he's got this suit and stuff, and he's kind of laying on that platform. So now he's coming over the edge, and he's got to make sure he doesn't step on this thing that they've taped on here. And so you think, well,
so all I can say about this, guys, for you ballers out there that think this is real good engineering, wow, I just don't know what to say about that, because this is the dumbest engineering that anybody could ever possibly have done. Talk about zero forethought, zero foresight, zero anything. There's just no way that this was ever thought through at all. It was probably something that they never even thought would ever have to be analyzed in the future. They thought they could get away with it and, just sweep it all under the carpet and not have people look at it critically and go, what in the hell is this? Right? So it's absurd. So guys, if you want me to stop anytime, if you have any comments, just say so and I'll pause it.
No, but if you use the words that came from for example, Buzz Aldrin, he said, but it works. It's amazing, right? That piece of crap, take it us to the moon and go back, and
Yeah, but knowing a little bit about tensile strengths, they said that this thing had something like 3,000ths of aluminum foil, some mylar. This is what this thing is actually created from, right? They said that if you got inside of it and you had a screwdriver in your pocket or anything that was even remotely sharp, it would poke right through it. Well, if you could do that with something that is basically dull like that, then how could you possibly accommodate an 11.7 ton per meter pressure on that fabric? It's just a joke. It's laughable. And any of you people that call yourselves mechanical engineers and you accept that, you're an idiot. You're a complete idiot. There's no freaking way that could ever work. Not in a million years. And God, how in the hell can you believe this? It's just unbelievable. Let's continue.
Well, maybe that's the only spot, but then a little ways down, they've got another one. Like, here's another spot where it's kind of like a trip and fall hazard. You know, in this situation, if these guys poke a hole in their suit, they will, you know, how much chance do they have of surviving? Because I think to get pressure back, they would have to crawl back in and get everything closed up and repressurize the cabin. And how long would that all take? You know what I mean? So you kind of want to keep your guys safe. I mean, somehow slip and hook on something here. So the description on this picture is LM/Aldrin, and the ID number on it is AS11-40-5928, and that is in the Apollo archives. So up on top, you can see kind of like this round disc up on top there, and it kind of hangs over. It sort of looks like maybe they were thinking that they could pull the paneling out to kind of match the shape of that disc. I'm not sure. And the paneling is see how it's kind of pushed in here, and the waving and the buckling right here is a pretty good gap right here.
This thing here is killing me. I mean, what a joke.
Is it a chalice holder or something?
That's supposed to be like the RCS thrusters or something like that. I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be, but I mean, oh my God. I mean, just ladies and gentlemen, just look at this. You know, a bunch of 5-year-olds could do better in arts and crafts than the best of the best of the best NASA engineers did with billions of dollars of American and worldwide money, and have been, you know, getting it from us ever since. This is what they call engineering. I wouldn't hire an engineer from that group of people to make fly swatters. I mean, wow, that's really pathetic.
Here, and they use an assortment of colors. So they've got the dark ones here, and here they've got a combination of the light, dark, light, and you see the paneling here. This is what I want to get into later in the next picture. It was a pretty good shot coming up of this paneling, and particularly I think it's this corner here that we're going to look at. So you can see the buckling, you know, the bowing here. And so here's an interesting thing also. Look at this area. So back in the day, we had crossbar pads on our dirt bikes, and I've still got one on my old CR. And so it looks like a covering on some foam maybe underneath right along here. And look in the back here. So you can see they got one, I guess maybe they didn't have, the covering wasn't long enough or something. And so, but evidently they had an abundance of foil tape. So they kind of got some tape going on there to get that thing on there. And over here, this looks like the foam that you might have, like if you want to insulate the pipes in your basement or something like that. So here's some more what looks like foam without the covering. You can see the little slot right in there, and a little piece of tape over this, what looks like foam. Okay, so this is the corner now that I think I was looking at in the previous picture right here. And I'm going to zoom in on that. So this is a high-res picture on the Apollo archives, and it's titled Close-up of LM, and the ID number on that picture is AS11-40-5922. So if you have a look at that, like when I was looking at this for a while, I actually called the wife over and to get her to have a look at this because it was rather amazing. And I don't mean it was amazing in a good way. So let's back up a bit here. So this darker color.
No, it was amazing, and he couldn't believe his eyes in utter disbelief. And, you know, and that's people, that's what we are calling on people to do, is to go and look at this stuff. Pull these pictures up. These are official NASA archive pictures. You know, pull it up if you believe that, you know, we've made these up or whatever. Go to NASA site, find them, look at this and ask yourself, is this really the best that 1969 engineering could come up with, for the most expensive and extravagant high-tech mission that has ever taken place for humanity? It's like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. So let's continue.
Colored paneling. I'm assuming that they used that to make a patch here because it kind of looks like they came up a little short on the floor. And so they wanted to finish this off. So they got that other piece of paneling there, and they
kind of looks like a bike chain, doesn't it? I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a bike chain. Somebody in the chat said that too. It does look like a bike chain. And we've seen stuff like this too at the ISS, right? What did we see? One of the things that killed me was when Jaron identified U.S. Post Office box, a mailbox on the ISS. I about died laughing, but that's exactly what it was. It's just they'll throw anything up there and call it tech. And, all the fanboys are, yeah, all right, man. It's NASA. You go for it. Yeah.
Looks like they bent it into this shape. And I mentioned maybe before that it seems they have an abundance of this gold foil tape. So they got that in there. And look at the fit over here also. Like you got a big buckle right here. You could probably almost get your hand in there. And you can see on the paneling, like the fit, the way it's bowing and buckling there. And so we'll go a little bit on the bottom here. So down here, this looks to me like what maybe some construction paper, like what you'd have like in a school project. So obviously I don't know exactly what it is. And it's kind of wrinkled and possibly damaged in some areas. It seems like they put tape on some damaged spots. Not sure what's all happened here. The little spots of tape.
Yeah, there is no doubt that is construction paper. Is there any doubt in your mind about that?
No, but the good part is inside that paper. So all the circuits, all the real panels, the well done machinery, it's in the other side. You cannot see it, but you need to.
Oh, that's where it's at? Okay, yeah. And that's probably even worse than the outside, right? Because they didn't even have to worry about that for the public seeing that. And of course,
they don't even use screws, I think is the name in English, to, for example, the left panel is like with taper, like I don't know how to say in English, but they don't even use nothing to attach that panel into the spacecraft. It's like just little tiny the gold thing, which is
the tape, Scotch tape, rivets.
The tape Scotch.
I don't even know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, you think that they would, it would be riveted. It would be anodized, very nicely machined. It would be airtight. It would be flat. Everything would be airtight. It would be solidly built. I mean, what the hell is this?
Remember that the MIT was involved in this project. For example, just to name a few, Lockheed Martin. I mean, supposedly the high-rank top engineering companies.
So. Yeah, boy, honestly, if they were, and I would be so pissed off at NASA for showing it, because what does this say about MIT and Lockheed Martin? And I can tell you for a fact that Lockheed doesn't do that. I used to work for Lockheed Martin. They are by the book, right down the letter, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's military. It really is. Kind of like what the type of specifications that we had to deal with in the military. Very, very similar in military contractors, all kinds of stuff like that. And this, like I said, this wouldn't pass a 5th grade elementary school art project, let alone the most technical, advanced engineering project of all man's history. Never. It's a joke.
The interesting thing about this tape is it would have had to have been put on in the fabrication shop, because it would seem to me that when the astronauts are out and about and doing their work, they would likely care less whether or not there's a little tear or something in the material. And even if they did want to put tape on, how would they possibly do that with gloves on? So that means this looked like this with the tape and likely most of this wrinkling in the fabrication shop, and they sent it out of the door that way. I don't know, something about it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because God knows there's no way if their gloves were truly, had well, the spacesuits were supposedly pressurized at 5 psi, but again, when you're talking about a 5 psi pressurization against a 10 to the negative 17th torr, we're talking millions of orders of magnitude of pressure differential. They should have absolutely been blown up like the Michelin Tire Man, 100%. Even Mythbusters, when they did their little vacuum, and also the guy I follow. But anyway, when they do the vacuum experiments and you stick your hand in a glove in a vacuum, it's so rigid you can't even move your fingers. So none of this could have possibly been done at all by the astronauts. And not to mention, guys, remember, it's also going from minus 250 degrees to plus 250 degrees to minus 250 degrees, right? I mean, get real, right? Let's continue.
But this corner here, that really got me. When I was looking at that, I tell you what, guys, look at that. The buckling and the bowing and the patching and the tape. Here's another shot of panels. Have a look at the overhang here. There's probably maybe 1-2 inches of panel that just kind of hangs there like that. Here in this corner, you can see again that something's been going on here with kind of an odd fitting system.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of rubber matting back here, right? And then it's got just some shiny crap on it with some sort of an access door over the top. Clearly, why is that even there? And it could just peel this up, right? Why is that even there? Ay, caramba. All right, continue on.
System there. And over here, I noticed, so this is that little rocket direction blaster, one of them here. And looks like they've got kind of like a curved support for this little guide for the blast. So they could have, I guess, cut that off a little shorter. There's probably an inch that they could have cut off, and it's extra weight. This piece, it kind of reminds me of that molding that maybe you might find on some cars where you open the door and where the door jamb transitions to the panels on the interior. Like there's kind of like a C-shaped molding that kind of goes around there. That's kind of what it reminds me of. And remember this odd shaped box. And I think we're on the other side now. I'll just go up here a bit. Remember that dish that was on the top, and then it looked like they kind of maybe pulled that panel out. So I think we're on the back side now. So remember that gap here under this panel, and that odd shaped box with the different colored panels on the sides and stuff. Okay, so on the back side, that's I think where we are now. Have a look at this and check that out. So to me, it looks like they've got some kind of tubing or something going through this panel, and right in this area, it looks like they have something fastened to that tubing so that maybe the panel could attach to this assembly, right? So, but look at the gap here. I mean, you could probably reach right inside there, almost. Big gap.
Yeah, exactly. Where is the vacuum seal? It looked like this was TIG welded or something. Where is the vacuum seal?
Bob, is inside. Everything is inside. Okay.
Are there? Have you guys seen pictures of the inside of the LEM? I mean, other than
just of them in there,
secret, military secret. You cannot see.
There's pictures of them in there. The picture of Aldrin with his Freemason ring and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you can't really see much of anything that's going on.
No. You can see, for example, if you look some documentaries, you can see the supposedly building process of how they, one company build the inside structure, other company build the panels, other company build whatever. So you can see, unconnected parts of the supposedly final result, but you never see a detailed, you know, piece of evidence to see the whole complete thing from inside, from outside, from the sides, from the whatever. Then you have of course the blueprints, but from the print to reality, I think there is a long way to the top if you want to wait to the moon.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Yeah, it's just amazing. But so if you're new to this, ladies and gentlemen, and you haven't been totally soured by the myriad of agents that we get coming in from the governments, trying to discredit everything that we do, all we're saying is use your eyes, use your head, look at what we're showing you here. Understand that this is official footage. These are official photographs. All of this stuff comes directly from NASA, and which to me, I can't even believe they would have the gall to put this out. I mean, if I was the guy at NASA and somebody fired I'd go, oh, we don't have anything like that. There's no way. I'd look at that and I would be way too embarrassed to release anything like this, because this goes, to say this is a joke, doesn't even cover it. It is so pathetic that honestly, I think that they never thought they would ever have to show this again, and that all those footages that the second generation feed off of the big screen at NASA, purposely trying to make it look as bad as they possibly could with their 180 pixel cameras that they have. It's unbelievable, but this is good enough to show just how crappy it actually is. So let's continue.
I'm assuming that this is aluminum now. So look at the fit and finish of this machine, like right here. Check that out. So probably 1.5 inches too big, maybe 2 inches too much room there. And something happened here. And look at and it just keeps going, guys. It just seems to keep going. So more stuff going on here with the way they fabricated this and fit it together. You can see up here, and wow. Oh yeah, there's a thing I found here too. So look at the panel right here. So they got the rivets going on here, rivets, and then here they cut the panel. You see how they cut a corner out of it? Kind of looks like that panel should be fitting in here nice, but they cut a corner out of it. When they why would they have to cut that corner out of there? Why wouldn't you make it fit the machine nice? If you look right here, there's a little fastener. See, another one here, and I think it's the same kind of fasteners that they were using along the top here. And there's a pair here and a pair here. And you can see it kind of pulls in that material as it's inserted. So this looks like the same kind of a fastener. And it's obviously quite a bit different than what I think here is a rivet. Okay, a couple of rivets here. And a very small little fastener here and here. And you can see it pulls that panel in a little bit right there where it pushes in. So you guys think a little bit. What kind of a fastener would be really small like that and fasten into a light brown colored material on the back side? What do you think about that a little bit?
A really good engineered kind of fastener. I have no idea what kind of fastener that would be, because none of this makes any sense. And not only that, we're not even dealing with materials that would be, honestly, if that is construction paper, and I certainly believe that it is, that thing should have just burst into flames the second the sun shone down on the moon, right? What's the tolerance of paper? Not much. It's just incredible that this has been passed off for this.
So this shot is from Apollo 17, and the ID number on this one in the Apollo archives is
Now, look how much better of a job they did on this one, right? Even though it's still a joke, it is infinitely better than 11, right? But it still looks like something maybe we get into high school arts and crafts here. They did a little bit better job, but there is still nothing about this that would pass any technical specification that would be required to handle extremes, like all the stuff that it has in it, all the weights that's got going on, the 500-degree variance in temperature every 24 hours, the 10 to the 17th negative torr to 14.7 psi, pressure in difference. I mean, really, boy, talk about right next to each other, right? Separated by a piece of paper. It's incredibly absurd. But they cleaned it up a little bit nicer on this one. The other one was just, I hate to say it, but Jake had it right. It's like a homeless tweaker shelter.
AS 17-149-22859. And interesting. So you have a look at the gaps on the paneling here, and the huge buckle going on right here, something going on here. And and I'm not sure if this is a window or a light or something like that, but you can see how it fits.
The toilet.
It fits here.
Toilet.
It seems to.
What, Hiro?
It's a toilet.
Is that what that is? I don't know. It probably is. I have no idea what it is.
I'm just joking.
Well, you got to wonder where.
It's NASA after all, right? So
yeah,
they can put the toilet outside of the
No, diapers.
Diapers.
Oh, is that's right? They did. They just
diaper repository.
Oh God, that had to be just a wonderful environment, right? 3 grown men crapping themselves.
Yeah, really would smell.
And then in 0G, they're having to use like baby wipes to clean up. And then I see.
Well, but in 0G, the gases don't expand as
they do it for science, though.
On Earth. Yeah, man.
You don't understand.
Yep. And of course, with all that going on, they still have to have food and water, and unless they were going on a fast. And I'm sure that you can make exceptions like that, but you certainly don't want to get weak and get sick or fall asleep or something like that during a critical part of the mission when you are dealing with conditions that would demand that you play your damn best golf game ever, right? It's just absurd to think that they would go out there and not have all that stuff for their best golf game. It's just ridiculous.
Fit nice, and then it seems to lift off of the panel here. There's a shadow. See that? What I really want to show you in this picture, what kind of got me curious, have a look at the foil that's underneath the machine here, okay? So Apollo 17, they've got so here's the rocket, the exhaust thruster bell, whatever we would call that, and right beside it you've got this foil. See all this foil here. Now check this out. As it takes off to mount up with the other machine that's still in orbit, allegedly, as you guys can probably tell already by now that and I'll tell you guys right out, this whole thing is, in my opinion, one giant hoax. It's probably one of the greatest hoaxes ever pulled on mankind. And I would say the biggest would be the lie about evolution, the lie about there is no God. This thing is just about to launch. Watch this little video here. I just actually grabbed this off of YouTube.
99, proceeded, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good. Excellent.
And you notice the extreme blast that rocket makes as it takes off. So we'll play it again.
1, ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good.
So I have a question for you guys. The question is, how is this foil still attached to the bottom of the machine when you get such an extreme blast right next to this foil. How's that even possible? Okay, so back to this picture here. And you remember here's where we started with the ladder and stuff. And so back to this picture. You tell me, guys, I got a question for you now. A little bit of foil, a little bit of foil up here. And
you know what my question would be is that with the G-force acceleration that thing had to experience when that thing blasted off, how did they keep those 3 grown men from going through the aluminum foil at the bottom of it and falling right out the bottom of it? There's no way. I mean, not only is there no way that it could never even stand up to the pressurization differential, but then you've got the G-force that would be, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 G at least. I mean, when it popped up there, it popped up pretty hard. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was not a small figure. And they're sitting on freaking Mylar and aluminum foil, for crying out loud. It's just unbelievable.
doing some patching or something. But here's the question, guys. Tell me, do you see cardboard? Do you guys see cardboard?
I absolutely see cardboard.
No, I see. This guy has so many questions that I'm going to start to charge some money.
I know it is. You know, when I was a kid, we had a furniture place, furniture resale place that was close to us called Hirschfield's, and they would, get the couches out of the big boxes that they would come in, and then they throw them out in their dumpster in the back. And we'd go and we'd get those boxes because they were huge boxes. You could fit a couch inside them and no problem. And we'd bring them to our house and we'd cut holes in them and we'd make forts out of them, right? And I swear to God, the forts we made out of our Hirschfield couch boxes were way better than the Slim. Oh, man. Let's continue.
You guys see cardboard directly in front of the guy in the picture. Do you see when I look at this, man, I just see, like, after all the stuff that I've shown you guys about this machine, don't you think it's possible that this is actually cardboard? That's what it looks like to me. Obviously, I can't confirm that, but that's kind of what I get out of that. When he does go down the ladder, I do have to add, though, I guess, that he does have the handles to hold onto here to help guide him onto the ladder with all the tape and foil. And think about how they teach.
So, the thing about this is it's just so over the top that I think that most people, just must disconnect from it. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it when it is so obvious to the average layman. And, for the average layman to even say, oh, well, yeah, if some engineer, could write that off and make sure it worked, it's just beyond me. It really is. Even the guy that did the, what was it, the window cranks for the ISS, when Destin from Smarter Every Day went there and said that those designs were still in use in the ISS, the guy's reaction was priceless. He's like, no way. He knew that there was no way that they could stand up to that type of vacuum differential. We've had vacuum experts on Mark Sargent's show, lots of other shows. They simply cannot do this type of engineering. That it's too harsh. Now they're trying to tell us that, the environment over Antarctica is too harsh to fly a plane over. It's like, well, what are you talking about? They sent a cardboard box to the moon. Why can't we fly over Antarctica? It's just ridiculous. And then, of course, what about all the military flights that are already going there? I don't know. It just goes on and on and on and on. And it's so utterly retarded. This is why we get so frustrated, people, with, it's okay that everybody has a different view of what the flat earth might be. But those that cannot see the obvious flaws they're either shilling or they're really stupid. And that's all I can say, because it defies all common sense whatsoever. And I know that they have tried their best to school all that common sense out of us. But, in that particular venue, yeah, they failed us. they failed us because they didn't get through to brainwashing all of us, right? So here we are doing what we do, presenting this stuff to you guys, hoping you take it out and present it to everybody that you know. And, everybody has their way of telling this story that is either going to be effective or non-effective. But the good thing is more and more people are starting to look at it. So what do you guys think of his analysis here?
I see so many analyses.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't think you can convince people they don't want to open their eyes, because the moon landing in our days is so easy to understand that was completely fake. Not just analyzing the spacecraft, but when you see the reaction of the astronauts, jumping all over the place, falling down to the ground, and with only one finger stand up again. And for example, they are developing some missions there, trying to put some earthquake detector, and suddenly for no reason the astronaut is hanging or pushing up from the pants, things like that. I mean, there has so many errors that at least that must be telling you that it's something wrong there. It's not just one thing that telling you that is fake and it's a big lie. It's all the mission. They cheat people in their own faces, playing golf, doing so many weird stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable that
I know. Yeah, the whole golf thing, that was beyond belief. I mean, they took a little dune buggy, golf cart, whatever, up there, as if they weren't pushing it enough, with trying to get that load of all the air conditioning, all the tech equipment, all the batteries that would be, that LEM should have been completely just overwhelmed with batteries, right? Because back in 1969, battery technology, it's not like it's great today, but it is leaps beyond where it was in 69. And it's just amazing that they were able to power all of that stuff. And then, the fact that they could supposedly then transmit that signal back 250,000 miles, somehow passing the Van Allen radiation belts, which, are supposedly there stopping all kinds of incoming radiation. Right. And yet somehow the microwave signal that they used to broadcast in, or maybe it was VHF, I don't remember which one, is allowed to pass right through. How did they know that would work? That was a hell of a lucky guess. How'd they know that would work? What characteristic is it about that, where's the band cutoff? Where does it stop letting emissions through? I mean, people, none of you so-called baller engineers ever ask questions like this, because there are no reasonable answers for it, So I don't know. It's just crazy. So anyway, so that was a good little analysis there. Now, did you guys see this article that David put in the?
No, yet. No.
It's kind of cool. I just started reading it. I had a little bit of time beforehand. But Moon and Mirage reflection of Earth's surface contends a Monroe man. And I think this Monroe man, isn't that one professor guy who was saying,
the plasma moon?
Yeah. He said it was basically a plasma moon, and that, they would no way ever be able to do that, right? An amateur scientist in Monroe says NASA has failed because the moon does not exist. And of course, he means that in terra firma. It is only a reflection of Earth, contends Joseph Bobner. A Brookside Trail. Now, they're not saying that this guy's a professor, so I don't know if this is him or not, but they addressed him as a professor last time. And what's amazing is when that first came out, you can't find anything on that guy. It's like they scoured him. Of course, that's pretty much the game plan, right? They scour everything that any voices of dissent, or YouTube says, oh well, it just isn't true. But basically what he's saying is, once again, and this is becoming a recurring theme, is that the moon is some sort of a reflection of the Earth at an older time, probably before the floods, right? And also of not just the continents that we are aware of, but also the continents that are shown on the Japanese the map that emerged in Hawaii a few years back. That those continents are all reflected in there as well. And I have to admit, at first I thought it was a pretty crazy, assumption, but it is amazing. I think that there's some pretty amazing coincidences, if they're that, if it isn't some sort of a map. But regardless, this guy's saying the same thing, that this is some sort of a hint. And, I think that everything in the cosmos is there for some specific reason. So if the moon is showing these patterns or whatever it is on there, then I would suspect that there's something to learn from what it's showing us. So, I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily to expand your mind and try and, interpret what's going on there, especially when there's such compelling evidence by a lot of people have done a lot of really good work already showing that there are a lot of coincidences, way too many to ignore, I think. But what do you guys think about that?
It's a strange thing. I really like the idea of the electric universe, and you can see at least how electricity interact with ground materials. I mean, sand, dust, soil, whatever. So I don't know exactly what it is, the moon itself. In appearance, when you take a direct observation, it seems like it's something solid, but the way that maybe was created could be, of course, via electricity forming or giving that shape or the craters or things like that, because at least in the lab you can recreate that using electrical fields and electrical impacts and things like that. But who knows exactly what it is? In fact, if you start comparing with other celestial bodies like Jupiter or Saturn, things like that, it seems like it is a bunch of gases maintained together, maybe with magnetism and electricity. I don't know exactly what it is. It's really difficult for me. I am not an expert. I am not a professional. I just, give my opinions based on my observations and my research, but it's really intriguing what it is and what happened up there. Yeah.
Yeah. And really that's all we can do because, we can't get up there and take samples, but I'm always curious what people think. I mean, even if it's some crazy ass thing, because I've never really believed that the moon was physical in the way that they've told us that it was actually terra firma, which of course would leave it to being some sort of a plasma or a holographic type of manifestation. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you can't land a craft on it. And it would be interesting, and I'm sure NASA's done this. It would be interesting to see what would happen is if, somebody launched a balloon or a rocket or something at the moon, with the camera on it and, have it actually going right at the moon, right until it stops at the very end, right? Something like that. It'd be interesting. Nothing else. But who knows? What do you think the moon is, Jaron?
Well, I don't know enough about plasma to know if that guy, how could it be made of plasma exactly? I guess I don't really get that. So, and it's the same guy who thinks it's a reflection off the water that's shining in the atmosphere. I guess I don't follow along with how that's the same guy. But I have no idea what it is.
Okay.
That's my answer for you. I don't know. It's certainly incredible, and I think it's part of the clock system and sign of creation, and the fact that it's the same size as the sun. All those things just should lead people to recognize that we're in a created place. Unfortunately, somebody got here and pretended like they know what's going on and that we went there. And here's another thing about the moon landing, though, people don't think about. Imagine if we would have gone and crashed and died. And then what are they going to tell the whole nation? What are they going to tell the whole world? Like, well, guess we can't go to the moon. And then we would have been raised like, we can't go past the moon. We tried. We sent guys there and they just died on live TV. It would have never happened. So the only possible result was that we went and landed there and everything was fine. They
Right.
couldn't allow for anything else to happen. So it's kind of funny. It's just proof that you wouldn't really send people on a mission like that for the first time ever, and then have everybody at their homes take days off work and have the schedule on TV. And I mean, it's just such a production.
Yeah, I agree. And this, the idea that we're part of this huge universe that is ever infinite, and that we're so insignificant, really disconnects people, I think, from any responsibility, both more morally and socially, and in a lot of ways, because I think all of us understand now very clearly that like I said, this is a created realm. It was intelligently designed. There is tons of evidence that space is not what we think it is. In fact, I think space is water. I really do. I think there's a huge amount of evidence for that. And, who knows, the universe could be this big ocean somehow. Some of the most amazing creatures I've ever seen are in our oceans, the Earth's oceans. I mean, octopuses absolutely blow me away, right? I mean, you got to really wonder what's going on in those guys' heads, right? They are so physiologically advanced. I mean, they blow us away. I really think they do. We can't do anything like the stuff that they do, and it makes you wonder, are they sentient? Are they cognizant? Are they thinking? Are they aware? I'll bet they are. I really think they are. But that's something that I don't think we're ever going to get enough, inside information on. They'll tell us that dolphins are smart and whales are smart, and that they can do all this tricks and whatnot. But the elite definitely in the occult has something going on with cephalopods, right? There is definitely a connection there between them and cephalopods, and you just got to wonder, I don't know, it's crazy stuff. So anyway, this article goes on to say that basically Russia figured it out, and that's why they decided not to, push anything to the moon, right? They backed it off. And this is a pretty good article. I'll put it in the show notes. But David posted it today. But it's just interesting that, other people are thinking about stuff like this. And, so there are other people that are thinking about more stuff, obviously, besides just us. So it's a good thing. So much for that. And let's see, what else do we got? I was showing this earlier, the restored Apollo 11 moonwalk. What a joke. Restored, I don't even know what it is. It's like, look at it. It's transparent. How did they do that? How the hell did they get that so transparent?
Well, I see, at least that is something that you can find in the NASA archives. Supposedly this first image or this first video was filming on the monitor directly. So they received in a tiny monitor on the headquarters of NASA, and it was another camera filming the television screen. So that is why you get all this weird ghosty image. This is not directly from the feed of the supposedly feed that NASA received.
So it's one image superimposed on top of another one?
No. It's NASA was receiving the video feed, and they are looking in a really tiny monitor. And then there was an external camera from the news and other media platform that they're going to receive the feed of the external camera filming the glass screen from the main source. I don't know if I explained very well, but imagine that in those old times that I use a camera to film the monitor that there is the monitor who what is receiving the actual video. The question is why they don't send the official video feed directly to the media or whatever. Well, they explain that doesn't was sorry for my English, that's something that they cannot did at that moment. So they want to give the most quickly information out there. So they use that technique. And in fact, I have a video showing that. But that is the supposedly the official narrative. We are filming and monitor a monitor. So that monitor give us that bloom, that ghost image, and that is what we have at the first time. And you know, the rest is just
they really went out of their way to make it as crappy as possible. But when they're building things like that joke of a limb, right? They don't want people to be able to see detail in that. I mean, looking at it from here, you can't really tell that it looks like a homeless tweaker project or a homeless tweaker shelter. You can't really tell that from here. It almost has some semblance of, well, maybe it could be a spacecraft, but even here it looks kind of hokey to me. But I don't know. But they just keep pushing it on, and all kinds of stuff like that. So let's see what else I have. I think that's about all I have. You guys saw the thing that we all mirrored this week, right? From Flat Earth Banjo USA, Japan and Brazil, about how they're going to fake a nonstop flight from Buenos Aires to Perth. Now, I thought it was interesting because some of the comments that came in, a lot of people said, well, maybe they're going to use sets of twin pilots. And it's like they wouldn't even necessarily have to do that. They could just use twin people, right? And keep the real pilots behind the scene. They could have, twin people acting as pilots, dressing up as pilots or something like this. But it's been kind of fun to watch the comments come in on this as to how they're going to try and, fake this. But basically, the guy that he was in this conversation with, he's saying, well, rest assured, it's going to absolutely happen. And so that's telling me that, they've got a plan up their sleeve that they're definitely going to slip this one through, and they're going to, try and tie it to, twins. I think is a good possibility, but I don't know how else they're going to fake it, but they're very innovative when they come to that. And of course, when we find all the flaws in it, that we will, they're just going to say, see, we can't even do something in modern day 21st, and you guys don't believe anything. And again, it's just like, it's always an uphill battle for us because we know what they're doing, and we know that they are desperate right now, and everything that they're pushing right now has got to be even more audacious than the last move they made,
But can you explain me a little better? I mean, they're going to be like a private flight from Chile to Australia.
Yeah, this 74 gear guy, apparently, he's been confronted and stuff like that. But yeah, they're going to go from Buenos Aires to Perth, and
but using commercial routes, so he's not going to pass over Antarctica, nothing like that.
Yeah, they said, well, we can't pass over Antarctica because you have to be within 30 minutes or something like that of a commercial runway, which is one of those. It's like, well, if that's true, then why, how did they fly anything down there, right? Obviously, there's always special dispensation for that, right? But
you cannot fly over Antarctica even near, because there is military rules. You cannot do that. Nobody can do that. In fact, we have from the Marcelo Diaz, which was an Argentina captain from our flight company, our country flag company. It's online. You can see when they did nonstop Buenos Aires to Sydney. It took like 19 hours. And he shows all the maps, all the routes, and he addressed the idea of if there are some issue on the plane and they need to, maybe make a emergency landing. And the guy asked him if possible to land on Antarctica, and the pilot said, no, we cannot do that. We need to or go to the ocean or trying to go back to land, but we are confronting how you say flight
regulations.
Yeah, no, but if you're trying to get near Antarctica without any of the permissions that you need, you are going to confront some type of
you're going to come up against
flights,
the military. Yes.
So you cannot. The pilot said and shows that the most closer to the shores of Antarctica, it's 2,000 kilometers. That is the most closer that you can go, and nobody can pass that.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I don't know what they were trying to prove. Of course, there is a flight. For example, that flight from Aerolíneas Argentinas, the 19 hours, Buenos Aires to Sydney, and what? The Earth is still flat, man. I mean,
Yeah, I know. But, what do you do? So, but I do agree. It seems like we need to change our approach to some degree because, going over the same old things, even though, we're going over it in different ways, it seems like it's counterproductive and it's frustrating in a lot of ways. So, maybe those guys that Jaron was talking to, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. I really do. But I would seriously disagree with them saying that we've been doing it all wrong, because we've been doing it exactly right, within the realm of what our abilities are. Right. So I would be more than happy, and I'm sure David would too. He suggested, coming up with a really good plan and then funding it, trying to get the idea of it funded through using the app and all the other outlets that we have, and then have the community kind of submit ideas, and the really good ones we can bring in and talk and see the plausibility of it, see what it would cost to finance something like that and do it. Now I already gave you guys my idea that I think would be relatively inexpensive. Hiring a mathematician so that we have a neutral party doing these periapsis calculations on the Earth and what we should actually register on an accelerometer, and then getting that accelerometer and measuring it. I think that we could do that for a relatively cheap price. I may be wrong, but I haven't looked into it yet either. So if you guys were to submit something, what do you think would be your best go-to for a test that you would like to see done?
for me, the Chitolan experiments, I mean, hire a private flight and do some, special maybe landscape analysis and things like that is something that you can afford and present to the community. Of course, for me, I will really like to see someone to finance and have the permission to take up there like in a go fast rocket with some special equipment for testing some crazy ideas, but I think that is not going to be possible.
Yeah, I understand that. So we, like I say, I think we do have, one of the guys that was in the movie that we did last week, I always forget the name of it. The one we did last week, it's like Flatlanders, but
Flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Flatten the curve. That's it. God, sorry guys. I'm sorry about that. So Flatten the curve. I mean, one of the pilots was a pilot that we had on Globebusters before at one point, and he owns a whole flight school, and is jet rated and all this stuff. And I think we could probably get some, something worked up through him if we can get it financed, because obviously we wouldn't expect him to have to pay for all that stuff. But, to rent a plane wet, you have to pay. Basically, that means for fuel and oil and, all that stuff. And I don't know how much a gallon of JP4 or JP5 is these days, whatever it is. But if we could, get some sort of a decent deal on one of these jets that is capable of at least 500 miles an hour, then we could do some really cool gyroscopic experiments as well, showing that the plane, like for example, here's another one. We could take a regular gyroscope that we've already shown using a recorder, 7-day recorder, and also a 24-hour timer, that it will pick up a 15 degree per hour precession, right? So if you put a gyroscope onto a plane and you just turn it on, right, and then take off and fly straight level in one direction, well, after an hour, you're going to change so many degrees. After 2 hours, you're going to change a lot more degrees, right? But if that gyroscope doesn't change pitch at all, which it won't, then again, there's another good proof, right? But then the major cost of the equipment there would be, of course, the aircraft, because we've already got the gyros, and we already know that our gyros are sensitive enough to be able to handle that type of resolution, because we've tested it, right? It's already been tested. Already know it does it. Don't have to call the manufacturer. The manufacturer didn't. They said, "Whoa, no, we don't think it'll do that." So we put it to the test. Not only does it pick up a 15 degrees per hour, but when John Savage put it on a 7-day recorder, or maybe it was Rick Zimmerman, I don't remember which one did it. It detected a 1.2 degree per hour drift, which is, basically once every 7 days, right? Once around every 7 days. So we have more than enough resolution in gyroscopes that we need. So all we need is a nice jet doing 500 miles an hour, flying straight and level. And I guarantee you that gyro is not going to change. How much can we do that for? I don't know. But, we can certainly look into it, right?
That is a nice idea to complement and, do the gyroscope experiment, the long observation with infrared optics and things like that. You can start, putting some ideas and use a plane. I think that could be a nice, something to at least, if we need money, of course, but it's a nice experiment to present to community.
Yep, I agree. Well, maybe we'll push for that, and I'll talk to those guys, and see if we can arrange something like that. Maybe even get some sort of a discount through the nonprofit. I don't know if we can or not, but whatever. If this community is really serious about that, I mean, there are so many flat earthers. All it would be like a buck or two a piece, and we could easily finance this stuff. But instead, we get these a-holes, yahoos that say, "Oh, all truth should be free. We shouldn't have to pay for anything." It's like, what? So it's up to us to pay for everything, and you guys just sit there and bitch? I mean, I get really sick of that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Just nonsense that we're all actors. We're, it's some jokers out there for sure.
I know. It really pisses me off to hear shit like that, coming out of our community. And those are the people I just ban straight up. I don't care if you're a flat earther or not. If you are really that disconnected and that much of an a-hole that you would have to say something like that, then you're just out of here. I don't want nothing to do with you. And I don't think anybody else does either. We want to be able to get some things done. And, if you're going to contribute toward it, great. If you're not, great. But, don't sit there and say, well, we ought to do this, that, and the other thing, and then sit there and expect everything to come to you for free, because life don't work that way, right? And Lord knows I have put thousands of dollars of my own money in these tests, as have so many other people, right? And, hey, we just need some help, guys. That's all. It's not like we're sitting here, begging for money every week. We don't do that. And like I said, even when we had something go wrong, Ben Maitre and I made up the balloon launch with our own money. And boy, that second launch was a spectacular success. It was awesome. We got that eclipse footage, and it was awesome. So, what do you do? So, all right, guys. Well, I think I've had about enough of my own soapboxing for today. So I think we're going to call it a show. And I want you guys to remember that we will be starting the Globebusters Tech Series on Wednesday. It will be Rockfin only. And, and this is where I actually expect a lot of this to get done, because we're going to be probably drawing a little bit different type of audience to that. Not that everyone isn't welcome. They certainly are. But I really want to bring a technical base of people in to really help us think this out, right? Because you cannot expect us to do all of the thinking. We cannot absorb that type of responsibility, neither financial or any other way. But I'll do whatever it takes besides that, and to to the best of my ability, and I know everybody else will too. But if you're going to come and sit there and bitch and piss and moan and talk about how truth should be free, then be gone. Just be gone. We don't need you. We don't want you. Go join, whoever. So, All right, so that's going to be about it for me, guys. Here, do you have anything else that you would like to say before we call it a show?
Well, no, I mean, I like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I really like to see more people get involved and trying to present as professional as possible. Trying to break through all the standards that maybe you need to, get people involved. I mean, I don't like to say convince people, because that is anyone task to analyze things and research and things like that and make their own opinion. But at least we know that we have been so brainwashed that you need some standards to give the impression of the professional type of documentary, or professional type of format that you need to get people involved. So it's not easy to do. I am a guy who belong to those backgrounds, because I work for television and for movies. It's not easy, it's not cheap, but when you finish and you present the final product, it's you can feel very proud of what you do, and that is going to have a real impact in the audience that is going to consume that. It's not the same thing. I know maybe we live in modern times where maybe a YouTube video made by a child could reach millions of views, but for trying to, at least, for example, and sorry for my a little long explanation, but for example, I think when I forget the name of David Robinson, no, Robbie Davidson made
Robbie
all
Davidson, okay.
those fantastic flat earth conference. He put flat earth in the first category. It's the major leagues, and we break through a lot of headlines and TV programs, and even here in Argentina and the Spanish community take that event for the magnitude and the well done of that event, and start talking about flat earth. And after the COVID thing, we lose a little bit of track maybe with that type of things. And doing this type of format is not the same thing as making those huge events or huge conference, but could be a really good impact. And as well, for example, with the idea of making our own experiments aboard the plane, for example, things like that. And it seems I think we need trying to make more stuff like that, and trying to get a little bit out of YouTube. Of course, we can use YouTube or social media or social platform to present, of course, the final result, but we need to get out there and trying to make some stuff in the real world.
Yep, I agree. Well, this is interesting. This article, a hat tip to Robert Bassano, threw this in the chat. Interesting. It is titled, "Large Passenger Jets Are Landing in Antarctica more than ever before." Now, first of all, I got to tell you, I have my doubts about that, because I know how the Antarctic Treaty reads, and I know that they cannot go anywhere near that place unless there is a runway, a large airport within 30 minutes of where they're going to touch down. Second of all, you have the Antarctic Treaty. Third of all, I've never seen any passenger jet flights that have gone to Antarctica ever before. I mean, yeah, maybe they're planning it. Maybe this is just a bunch of bullshit. Maybe this is another one of those things like, who's that one dude? The black guy that ripped off all his users for the trip to Antarctica. What was his name? Do you remember who that was?
No.
He scolded us for doing our rocket piece.
Greater Sapien. I was yelling it, and then I didn't realize I was on mute.
Oh yeah, Greater Sapien. Yes, Greater Sapien, right? Greater Sapien. And then what they did is, when they were saying that they were finding out that the flat earthers were going to say, "Oh yeah, we're going to take all kinds of equipment," then they said, "Nope, you can't take any equipment, nothing like that." They narrowed all that down, and then they just canceled it completely. Of course, Greater Sapien came out the big winner on that. You know, he kept all that money. And, you know, that's great. So that's what we have seen in our experience with these type of claims. So if this is true, it's great, because then we should be able to sneak it in. But we also know, guys, that if we're right about what we're saying, then it can never happen. They can never let this happen, because we'll bust them dead to rights. The routes that they say, everything that they say about Antarctica is not true. It is not a continent at the bottom of the globe. You know, and people, I get so much, oh, where's this fantastic ice wall, you know, all around Antarctica? And it's like, all you have to do is Google Antarctic ice wall. Can you do that, ballers? Look what you get. It's amazing, right? It's definitely there. Now, where exactly these walls are all taken pictures from, who knows? I don't know. But to say that there's no evidence that they're there, that's one of the few real pictures we actually do get. Unlike, you know, space or a picture of Earth or anything like that, we actually do have real pictures of the ice wall. And of course, no, it doesn't show that on the other side of it that you can, you know, go out and jump off into outer space. That's absurd. But I don't know. This would be great, Robert, and maybe you can follow up on it. But I really have my doubts about this, because they can only go so far without busting themselves dead to rights. And every time we've ever tried to pin them on this, they just, you know, do a more obfuscation, like when Jaron was trying to get them to release the 24-hour footage, and he couldn't seem to make them understand. It's like, look, you talk about bandwidth bandwidth that you have to, you know, preserve, and yet you are writing algorithms that are taking out all of the darkness, right? Then where is that? You know, where is that? How come you just have these big 8-10 hour slots missing? Right? They know damn well what they're doing, and they are reacting to everything that we are saying about them and to them. And this, you know, honestly, no offense, Robert, but I think this is nothing more than a propaganda piece. I really doubt. What do you guys think? What do you think, Jaron?
Yeah, I mean, I have to see what happens. I mean, you know, we've always seen these things come up and then they come and go. It's like they never actually take place. You know, these flights and stuff, these things that they say they're going to do, it seems like they never happen, or we never get to see the footage, or whatever. So I don't know if we'll see it or not.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I said, if they ever let that happen, then we're going to be sending people down there. We're going to be getting people off. The first thing I would do is I'd get off that plane. I'd set up my 24-hour camera, and I'd track that sun all the way around. They cannot allow that to happen, because what I'm going to pick up is I'm going to see it come in from the sun come in from the southwest and leave to the northeast, whatever it is. It's not going to go around me. It's going to circle up to me and then go away from me. And I'm certain that's going to happen. And that's exactly what is happening when they cut all that footage out of the Antarctic footage, right? They cannot put anybody in a position to be able to do that, right? So again, it's a propaganda battle. This is stories like this is what they have to make people believe that, oh yeah, we're going to send jets down there. Right. Well, no, I don't think so. Because again, where's the evidence? Robert says, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the Russians. Well, maybe, but there's still all these other treaty signees that have to, they have to go through the same procedures. Right. So I don't know.
That's why I think a boat is a better idea, because a plane getting up there and doing these kind of trips, or going from, like Banjo's talking about, going from Buenos Aires to Perth, that kind of thing. I mean, we just don't know. For instance, if there's a 400 mile per hour jet stream at 45,000 feet, we wouldn't know about it. And they could get up in that jet stream that they rarely use, and they could get anywhere that they want to get in a certain amount of time. Again, jet streams are crazy. And for us to think there's no chance that there's a 400 mile per hour, but there is a 300 mile per hour, is ridiculous, right? There could be 400. So if that's the case, and again, remember when we look at those maps, they always give us the flight levels at like 32, 38, and 45. Well, there's flight levels all between there. And I've talked to pilots. My friend's a pilot, and he said, yeah, even at one level, then the 1,000 feet above that, the flight level, the winds are going the other way. So
exactly.
So you're talking about all these different, basically highways that planes can get in. Now,
NASA even admits that. NASA even admits it. That's how their electrostatic tethering works. They came right out and said it.
right. with a boat, the difference is that there is no current, as far as I've ever seen, that goes faster than I think 2 miles per hour. So that means that, for a boat to get from New Zealand to, say, Santiago, is just going to have a very tough time. And then, so the one way to prove that wrong would be, okay, let's go look at container ships that take that route. There is none. Let's go take a look at cruise ships that take that route. There is none. Let's look at the undersea cables. There is none. So that's the evidence leads me to know something is different about that southern Pacific Ocean. And so if we have a boat, and I think cruise ships go like 20 miles per hour max. So could it go 25 miles per hour? Sure. Can it go 50? No, I don't think so. I don't think that it's possible. And we could get in a boat and say, okay, gas is as much as it goes. And then kind of gauge how fast this is going. That's the max speed of that boat. So if it's 6,000 miles, you're going to have a certain travel time. And if it's 9,000 or 10,000 miles, you're almost double that time. So I just think that that's a interesting way. And then again, because my kind of belief of how you would have to do that is you would have certain parts of the Southern Ocean that don't exist in GPS, which would mean, could a boat ever be out there? Well, not so. It'd be difficult for that boat to be out there. It'd be that they're just out there floating without using GPS. And I think most people out on the ocean are definitely using GPS, especially if you're in the middle of the Southern Pacific. So it would almost mean that the boat would be taken around that area, and so it would even add to the track time. So I think that's better than the plane, because the plane, like they just said, there's a lot of things that could happen with that plane.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So we do have some options, absolutely. But one of the bad things, of course, is if we try and make a big effort to organize this, well, we kind of have to use the most public route, right? We have to tell them exactly what we're doing. It's not like we're going to ever have we're going to be able to like sneak it through, right? We got you, and you never found out about it. That's never going to happen. We have to use the most public avenue available to get this actually financed. And then who knows what that's going to allow them to do, right? It's always a chess game with these guys. So I don't know. We'll see what the community comes up with. I can tell you that we are certainly more than willing to do our fair share of this. And, I want to take this to the next level. But guys, like I said, it takes money, it takes time, and it takes effort. And if you're not willing to give any of these and you just want to sit back and be a quarterback and a cheerleader, you're really not helping anybody. So, the very least you can do is research. If you don't have the money, great. Then research. It doesn't cost anything to do research. We've got the internet. Devise something. Call these companies. Find out, what things are going to cost, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things that can be done. And we can certainly use the help. And like I said, that's what I want to kind of, start going towards on Globebusters Tech, and hopefully we'll do that. So, and another thing, by the way, and it's so funny too, because, we were talking about that text that you were sent, Jaron, and, out comes Ben, Taboo Conspiracy, with his newest video this morning, which just is just like three more basic incidences in Utah where they have unequivocal, absolute, undeniable proof that there is no curvature. And, how many of these do we have to do? I mean, how many hundreds of these do we have to do? Have we ever seen a single one done by the Globers anywhere? Bueller? Bueller? I don't think so.
Pontchartrain curves like the Earth is.
Oh yeah, Pontchartrain. Oh my God.
1,000 miles circumference.
And that is the worst. And my God, when Charles Flat Earth Math came out and got behind that, I mean, there was never more of a day that I knew he was a shill than that day. It's like, because he had been saying for months, years even, that there's no way that you can detect that curvature from the ground. Nope. And as soon as Soundly came out with that, oh yeah, well, this is one of those rare occurrences. Yep, that's absolutely the curvature of the Earth. There's no doubt about it. And yet, what people weren't looking at was the rest of that stupid picture, which is that bridge, the little drawbridge where it goes up and down. It goes straight up at like a 60-degree angle and then straight down at a 60-degree angle. It's like that. There is no such structure on Pontchartrain that does that, right? So if you can't tell, if you are that stupid that you can't tell by looking at that bridge that there are some severe optical shenanigans going on with that picture, then you are dumb as a box of rocks. I'm sorry, and you're not the kind of person we want, doing this kind of investigation. And mostly, it is the baller trolls. Why? Because they have to do it that way. They have to support it. Any absurd thing that they say, they have to support it. They have to watch that video that we watched earlier by Grotto One and say, oh, yeah, that's all possible. Not a problem. They have to do it.
Hey, Bob, when it comes to lasers, is the belief, the standard physics belief or whatever, that they propagate exactly parallel? Like, wouldn't it be required by physics that a laser beam would fall off? Doesn't everything have to fall off? Nothing can just travel infinitely straight?
No, not necessarily, because infinitely straight, the only thing that will change the propagation path of a laser because of what it actually is. And remember, it is not particulates. If you were looking at light as a particulate, right, as a photon, then you could say, even though they'll say, well, but it doesn't have a mass to it, right? But if it did have a mass to it, then it would be subject to gravity, right? But it's not. It is an induction, a perturbance of the luminiferous ether. And so the only thing that will actually change its path until it just fizzled out to zero from the inverse square law is to go through a change of medium. So no, it's not going to just naturally fall down to the earth. It will go as far as straight as it can until it's just not there anymore.
And if it spreads out, it should spread out equally in all directions then?
That is correct. Yeah. That is correct. And for all we know about lasers and light, it behaves exactly that way.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything different.
Yeah. So there you have it. And, the ballers can only be so stupid, right? And it's like I said, I'll keep pointing it out. When they deny this stuff, I'll keep pointing it out and just showing how retarded they are. And I'll make fun of them all day long because, if you can't see that, then you're part of the problem and not the solution, right? Because this stuff is so obvious. And, I'm tired of coddling people and, trying to put up with the, one-on-one questions. And yeah, I want as many people in this movement as possible. And I know that there has to be a certain degree of diplomacy with that. But, that's why Globebusters may not be for you. Maybe somebody else that has a little bit lighter approach. That's great. Ben, Taboo Conspiracy, is fantastic at stuff like that. But, we all get so tired of the crap that we get from the ballers. And then, the general public, in general, who come in and they think they actually know something and they just spew their ignorance. And it just really, really bums me out. It makes me realize that, boy, the educational system really did fail them. Or in their case, it totally worked on them because they're completely brainwashed, completely. So anyway, all right, guys. So I'm sorry, I keep rattling on. So Jaron, what do you got coming up in the next week? Anything in particular?
No, just keep an eye on my channel. I did talk about yesterday, if you want to watch the Friday show, that I have a auction going off and a little donation drive. So if you want to check that out, it's jaronism.betterworld.org. And there's going to be some things added this week. Karen B's giving up 2 Flattoberfest tickets. Dave's giving away a bunch of app codes for free apps and free years of subscriptions. I'm giving away some consultation stuff, a dinner with me and Alex, a dinner with me and Dave. What else do we have on there? Oh, a gift pack from Truth Smacks. And so just a bunch of things like that. And it's going to be, first time kind of running an auction. We'll see how it goes. And so, check that out. Check out some of the items. And then I'm going to take that money plus 500 of my own and just try and go out and do something different for me, which is going to be try and make a bunch of people's lives better or make their day better. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, very cool. And real quick, I want to say thank you to Flat Earth Dude for the super chat, who says 24/7 Flat Earth Discord Live, the best place on earth to talk about Earth. Join the discussion. https://discord.gg/3FSCNWC. And then there's a YouTube channel with it also. They honestly, that is definitely a good flat earth debate channel. It's actually a real flat earth debate channel. And I think they do a really, really good job of that. So kudos to those guys. They do a fabulous job. And then also Brian Roy, or maybe it's Brian Waugh, if it's like Patrick. Thank you so much for the super chat. Much, much appreciated. And then over to the Rockfin side, we got our tips from Robert Safaris, as always. Thank you so much for that, Robert. And Glenn Engelhorn says, think of how much real estate NASA could buy with the billions in gold-backed dollars they extorted from the public. God, no kidding. The landings came to an end right as Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. Yeah, well, there's big changes in the money system coming, guys. And if I were you, whether you believe in it or not, you should at least take a look at crypto. Because is it true that the government's going to use that type of a system for their advantage? Absolutely it is. But if we just lay down and let them do that and not give our support to other types of cryptos, then we're just handing it over to them. So we're just hand it over in defeat. So I'm not telling you one way or the other. I know personally that I believe that, I have money definitely invested in crypto. And I think it's a good way to go. And that's all I'll say about it. If you want to know more about that, Jaren's your guy. And, he and his team are very good at understanding what's going on with that. So check them out for sure. And that is it, I think, from everybody. So again, we'll see you guys on Wednesday night for our season opener of Globebuster Tech. And we will see you then. Until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Bye-bye.